My girlfriend introduced me as the contractor who handles logistics at an event I sponsored. I'm 29, been with my girlfriend Aria for 3 years. I own a home renovation and interior design company. Started from the ground up with my best friend Sam, and now we've got 10 craftsmen on staff and run about 6 projects a month. Nothing huge, but we do good work and people recommend us. Aria works as a PR manager at a big FMCG corporation. She's always been really into appearances and networking, which I get. Her job kind of requires it. We've had our issues here and there, but nothing that seemed like a deal breaker until last weekend. So her company was launching this new product line, and they threw this massive gala at the art museum downtown. Aria had been planning it for months. She'd mentioned they needed someone to handle the stage construction and backstage setup, and asked if my company could do it. Obviously, I said yes. We did the whole job at cost, basically as a favor, and it came out beautiful. The event itself was black tie, super fancy. I showed up in my best suit, feeling pretty good about the work we'd done. Early in the evening, I was standing near the bar when I saw Aria talking with a group of executives, including this older guy who I later learned was Caldwell, the CEO. There was also this woman, Nora, Aria's coworker. Nora spotted me and her face lit up. She started walking over with Aria and I heard her saying, "Is that him? Your boyfriend? The one who did the stage work? Mr. Caldwell has been asking about the contractor all evening." But before Nora could say anything else, Aria cut her off. "Oh no, he's not my boyfriend. He's just the contractor who handled the logistics and transportation stuff." I stood there like an idiot for a second. Nora looked confused, like she was about to correct her, but Aria had already steered her away. I caught Nora glancing back at me with this apologetic look on her face. Here's the thing that really got me. The after party that night was at this Skybar downtown. 3 weeks earlier, Aria had asked if I could cover it as an early birthday present to her. Said it would mean a lot for her career to host the team somewhere nice. I'd agreed and put down my card for the whole thing, about 4 grand. So I'm standing there at an event I partially sponsored, and my girlfriend of 3 years just introduced me like I was the guy who delivered the folding chairs. I didn't make a scene, didn't confront her. I just finished my drink, found Aria, told her I wasn't feeling well, and left. She barely looked up from her conversation with some VP. On the drive home, everything started clicking into place. 3 years together, and I'd never met her coworkers beyond brief hellos when she'd run into them. Every vacation photo she posted on Instagram was just her. Solo shots on beaches I'd paid for, restaurants I'd taken her to. But somehow I never made it into the frame. Her company holiday parties, internal only, summer picnic, just boring work people, team building events. You'd be so bored, babe. I'd never pushed it because I figured she wanted to keep work and personal life separate. Plus, I'm usually covered in sawdust by 6 p.m., so I figured it was probably for the best if her boyfriend didn't show up looking like he just walked off a construction site. I'd actually felt bad about it, like I wasn't polished enough for her corporate world. But this was different. This wasn't keeping boundaries. This was hiding me. Or worse, downgrading me. When I got home that night, I started making changes. First text went to Sam, "Need you to cancel the secondary card on the business account tomorrow morning." That was the gas card Aria used to fill up her car, plus she'd been using it for random personal stuff. Then I went through every shared subscription. Netflix, Spotify, the gym membership I'd added her to, my car insurance where I'd put her as a driver on my truck. One by one, I either canceled her access or removed her entirely. The apartment we lived in was in my name. I'd been paying the full rent for the past year. I pulled up the lease, 2 months left on it. I wasn't angry exactly. I was just done, clear and cold. By the time Aria got home around 2 a.m. buzzing about how successful the event was, I'd already packed a bag. She didn't even notice it by the door. "Did you have fun tonight?" I asked. "Oh my God, yes. Caldwell himself said it was the best product launch we've ever done. Your guys did such a good job." "That's great. Hey, what did you tell people I do for work?" She paused, kicked off her heels. "What do you mean?" "At the event." When you introduced me. Oh, she laughed, actually laughed. I was just being modest, babe. You know how corporate people are, they get weird about contractors and vendors. As if my job was some kind of allergy they couldn't risk catching. So you thought telling people I wasn't your boyfriend and calling me the logistics guy was better. She waved her hand dismissively. It's not that big of a deal, Liam. Don't be so sensitive. That was it. That was the moment I knew for sure. I'm staying at Sam's for a while, I said. She looked at the bag by the door like she was just now seeing it. Are you seriously making this into a thing? It was one comment. It wasn't one comment. It was 3 years of you hiding me because I'm not a good enough accessory for your life. I left before she could respond. So now I'm at Sam's place and honestly I feel lighter than I have in months. But I also keep second-guessing myself. Am I overreacting? Was it really that bad? Or did I just throw away a 3-year relationship over a stupid comment? Edit. I'm reading all the comments. A lot of you are asking if I'm planning to talk to her or just ghost. I'm not ghosting. I want to do this right. I sent her an email this morning asking to meet at a coffee shop this week to talk. Public, neutral territory. I already know where this is heading, it's just something needed to be done. About the after-party bill, yeah, I'm still on the hook for it. The charge hit my account this morning. $4,200. I'm not going to dispute it or make it a thing. It was my card, I authorized it. Lesson learned. Update 1. It's been 4 days since the gala. We met yesterday at this coffee shop halfway between Sam's place and our apartment. I got there early, tried to figure out what I actually wanted to say. I'd made a mental list of all the things that had been bothering me, but when Arya walked in looking tired and annoyed, the list didn't seem to matter anymore. She sat down without ordering anything. First words out of her mouth. I talked to my therapist about this. She said you're being controlling. I'm going to be real with you all, I almost laughed. Instead, I asked her to explain. You cut off my access to everything without even discussing it with me. That's financial abuse, Liam. The Netflix account I pay for, the gym membership in my name, the secondary business card you used for personal stuff. We're in a relationship. That's what couples do. They share things. I took a breath. Then why did you introduce me as the contractor who handled logistics? Oh my God, we're back to this. I told you I was just being modest. It was a joke to lighten the mood. A joke. I repeated the word flatly. Yes, everyone there knows what contractors do. It wasn't a big deal. Okay, so let me ask you something. I've been thinking about this for days. If I was an architect who went to an Ivy League school, would you have made the same joke? She went quiet, stared at her hands. That silence told me everything. Would you have introduced me differently if I had an MBA, if I worked in finance, if I wore a suit to work instead of steel-toed boots? Her voice grew quiet. That's not fair. Answer the question. You're twisting this into something it's not. I'm asking a simple question, Arya. Would you have been embarrassed to introduce me properly if I had a different job? She looked out the window. It's complicated. You don't understand the pressure I'm under at work to maintain a certain image. My boss is very particular about the kind of people we associate with. Professional image matters in my industry. So that's a yes. You're putting words in my mouth. No, I'm listening to what you're not saying. The conversation went in circles for another 20 minutes. She tried a few more angles, got angry, accused me of never really caring about her, said I was using this as an excuse because I'd probably been cheating. Then she brought up all the good times we'd had, the trips, the holidays with my family. She cried a little, which I think was genuine, but it didn't change anything. Finally, I told her straight, I'm done, we're breaking up. I'll pay the last 2 months of rent on the lease like I'm supposed to, and then you'll need to figure out your own place. Everything in the apartment that's mine, I'll arrange to pick up next week. Everything else is yours to handle. You can't just decide that on your own. I can, actually, and I am. I left cash for my coffee and walked out. Sam picked me up, and when we got back to his place, I changed all my passwords and blocked Arya on everything. Phone, social media, email, except for one address I set up specifically for logistics about moving my stuff out. Clean break. But the real surprise came this morning. My phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. It was Nora. Remember her, The coworker from the gala who tried to introduce me properly, she apologized for calling. Said she'd gotten my number from the vendor contact list at work. She wanted to let me know that things were getting messy at Arya's office. Apparently, word had spread about what happened at the gala. When people found out that Arya had deliberately downplayed her boyfriend's role at an event where he was actually a sponsor and contractor, it didn't sit well. Especially with Caldwell, who'd been really impressed with the stage work and had specifically asked to be introduced to me that night. Arya had told him I'd already left. Nora said a bunch of colleagues had been giving Arya the cold shoulder. The narrative Arya was trying to spin about me being just a vendor wasn't sticking because too many people had seen the receipts for the after party. Then Nora mentioned something that really surprised me. Caldwell had apparently asked Arya to take some time off to reassess her professional judgment. It wasn't a firing, but it wasn't nothing either. The way the company handled vendor relations and budget management reflected on the PR department, and Arya's choices at the gala had raised questions about her decision-making. I thanked Nora for the heads up but told her I didn't want to get involved in office politics. She said she understood, but wanted me to know that not everyone at the company thought what Arya did was okay. I also had the locks changed at the workshop. Arya had a key from when she used to meet me there sometimes, and I wasn't taking any chances. The apartment thing is going to be awkward, but I talked to the landlord and explained the situation. He was cool about it, said as long as the rent gets paid for the remaining 2 months, he doesn't care who's living there. Arya can stay through the end of the lease. After that, not my problem. Update 2. It's been about 5 weeks since my last update. Some stuff has happened that I wanted to share with you guys. First, the work situation. I've been absolutely buried. We signed 2 new high-end kitchen projects right after the breakup, and they've been keeping me and the crew busy 6 days a week. About 3 weeks ago, I joined this 10K running group with Sam. I'm not a runner at all, but Sam suggested it might be good to do something that's not work-related. Clear my head, meet some new people. Second week in, we were all standing around after the run and I saw this familiar face. It was Nora. She was there managing a booth for some charity thing, and when she saw me, her face lit up. We ended up talking for like an hour. She asked how I was doing and I gave her the honest version. Busy, tired, but better. She told me a bit more about what had been happening at Arya's company. Apparently there was some internal review about how the gala was managed, and Arya's name came up for how she handled vendor relations and budget transparency. The after-party bill raised some eyebrows when people found out it was on a personal card rather than processed through official channels. I didn't ask for details, and Nora didn't offer much more. She switched topics pretty quick, started asking about my work instead. And she was genuinely interested, not just making small talk. Before we left, she mentioned her friend group was having a board game night that Friday and asked if I wanted to come. Said it was super casual, just some teachers and marketing folks from different companies, nobody from her office. I almost said no, but Sam overheard and basically forced me to say yes. So I went. Best decision I've made in a while. The group was maybe 8 people in this cozy apartment in the Arts District. They were playing this game where you build medieval castles or something. I didn't totally get it, but nobody cared that I sucked at it. Nobody made any comments about my work boots or the fact that I had sawdust in my hair because I'd come straight from the workshop. Instead, they asked me how long it takes to install a custom kitchen. A guy who does marketing for a tech company was fascinated by the business side of contracting and how we calculate bids. Nora was watching me from across the table at one point, and when I caught her eye, she smiled. A warm smile that made me feel like I belonged there. We stayed until almost midnight. I haven't laughed that hard in months. Nora walked me out to my truck. "You should come next week," she said. "We're doing a horror game theme for Halloween. Very dramatic, lots of fake screaming." "I'll think about it," I said. "You're going to come," she said, grinning. I can tell. She was right. I went the next week too, and the week after that. Around week 4 of game nights, something else happened. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize while I was driving over. "Is this Liam?" The voice was older, authoritative. "This is Richard Caldwell. I'm the CEO at Arya's company. Do you have a minute?" I pulled over into a parking lot. "Sure." He explained that after the gala, the museum had sent over some photos from backstage for the company's internal records. The facilities manager there had included a bunch of shots of my crew working on the stage construction, along with some notes about how professional and efficient we'd been. "I was impressed with the work," Caldwell said, "and I'm calling because we're planning a major renovation of our showroom locations, 6 facilities over the next 6 months. We need a reliable contractor who can handle custom millwork and has experience with commercial spaces. Your name came up." "From who?" "Nora Grant, actually. She's in our trade marketing department. She said you're the best contractor she's ever seen, and that I'd be stupid not to at least talk to you." I had to smile at that. Caldwell and I talked for about 30 minutes. He wanted to know about my capacity, my crew's experience, our timeline flexibility. I was honest with him. We'd need to bring on more people to handle 6 locations in 6 months, but it was doable if we could phase the project strategically. "Send me a proposal," he said. "Nothing formal yet, just a rough outline of what you'd need and what you think the timeline would look like. I want to see how you think." I spent the entire weekend working on that proposal with Sam. We mapped out a phased approach, figured out we'd need to hire at least 5 more craftsmen, probably lease a second workshop space for material staging. The numbers were bigger than anything we'd ever bid on before. I sent it Monday morning. Caldwell called back Wednesday. "When can you come in for a meeting?" That meeting is scheduled for next week. It's not a done deal, not even close. But the fact that we're even in the conversation for a contract this size is huge. And it's happening because Nora put my name forward. Because she'd been paying attention at those game nights when I talked about work, and she remembered enough detail to vouch for me to her CEO. I don't even have words for how that feels. Last Friday at game night, I pulled Nora aside. I thanked her for talking to Caldwell. "You earned it," she said. "I just told him the truth." "Still, you didn't have to do that." "I know." She paused, looked down at her drink. "Can I tell you something?" "Sure." "That night at the gala when Arya introduced you that way, I was so angry I almost said something right there. I'd seen the work you did on that stage. I'd watched your crew for weeks being professional and creative and solving problems on the fly. And then to hear her minimize it like that," she shook her head. "It wasn't right. Thank you for saying that. You deserve to be with someone who's proud of you, Liam." We stood there for a second in this comfortable silence. Then someone yelled for us to come back because they were starting the next game. I don't know where things are going with Nora. Maybe nowhere. We're friends right now, and that's enough. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm around someone who sees me. The real me, sawdust and all. Edit: for everyone asking about Arya, I haven't heard from her directly since the coffee shop conversation. The lease ended last week and I assume she moved out, but I haven't checked. My stuff got picked up by movers a month ago. That chapter is closed. Final update. Hey, it's me again with another update. The meeting with Caldwell went better than I could have imagined. Sam and I spent 3 hours in that conference room going over timelines, materials, cost projections. At the end of it, Caldwell stood up, shook both our hands, and said his legal team would be in touch about the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. The contract came through 2 weeks later. 7 figures. Low 7 figures, but still. The biggest deal we've ever signed. We hired 5 new craftsmen like we'd planned. Leased a second workshop space on the industrial side of town. Upgraded our equipment. This is the kind of growth that takes most small businesses 5 years to achieve. We're doing it in 6 months. It's terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. Here's the part that's going to make some of you roll your eyes, but I don't care. I'm going to tell you anyway. About 2 months after we signed the contract, I asked Nora out on an actual date. She said yes, but she had one condition. We keep respecting each other's work as rule number 1. Always. Deal. Deal. We've been dating officially for 4 months now. It's different than what I had with Arya in every way that matters. Nora asks about my projects and actually remembers the details. She helped us optimize the customer flow for the first showroom design, pro bono, because she's genuinely good at understanding how people move through retail spaces. She comes to the workshop sometimes just to watch us work, and she doesn't complain about the noise or the sawdust. Last week, she posted a photo of us on Instagram. We're standing in front of the partially completed first showroom, and the caption just says progress on all fronts. It's not a fancy photo. I'm literally in my work clothes with wood shavings stuck to my jeans, but I'm in the photo. I exist in her world. That shouldn't feel revolutionary, but it does. Now for the part you're all probably wondering about, Arya. About 3 weeks ago, she showed up at the workshop. Just walked right in while I was working. "Liam," she said, "can we talk?" I led her outside to the parking lot away from my crew. Whatever this was, I didn't need witnesses. "I heard about your contract with Caldwell," she said. "That's amazing, congratulations." "Thank you. I've been doing a lot of thinking and I realize now that I cut her off." "Arya, why are you here?" She paused. "I wanted to apologize, really apologize. I was wrong. The way I treated you was wrong. And I think I might have sabotaged the best thing in my life because I was too worried about what other people thought." I appreciated the words, I did, but they felt about 6 months too late. "I also wanted you to know," she continued, "that the reason you got that opportunity was partly because of the connections from that night. I created that opportunity for you." And there it was. The real reason she'd come. "No," I said. "The opportunity came from the work my crew did. It came from the museum's recommendation and from Nora vouching for me. You didn't create anything that night except a reason to end a relationship that wasn't working. That's not fair. If I hadn't gotten you involved in that gala, I would have gotten involved in something else. This is what I do, Arya. Your event didn't make me good at my job." She stared at me for a long moment. "You're different." "I'm the same. I just stopped apologizing for it." She left after that. I haven't heard from her since. Yesterday was the grand opening for the first showroom. Caldwell was there along with half his executive team. The space looks incredible. Natural light, custom woodwork throughout, display cases that we built specifically to highlight their products. At the opening, Caldwell pulled me aside. "You know, there was some concern initially about bringing you on for this project. Some people thought you might be too small scale for what we needed, but I'm glad I trusted my gut. This is exactly what we wanted." "Who had concerns?" I asked, though I could guess. He just smiled. "Doesn't matter now." Through the window of the showroom, I saw Arya standing across the street. She was just standing there watching. Our eyes met for a second and then she turned and walked away. Nobody else saw her. She was just another person on the street, and for the first time that didn't make me sad. Nora squeezed my hand. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "I really am. We've got 5 more showrooms to build. We've got projects lined up through next year. Sam and I are talking about maybe opening a 3rd location focused specifically on commercial work. I'm dating someone who thinks the most attractive thing about me is that I can explain the difference between mortise and tenon joints and actually get excited about it. I'm building a life that fits me, not one that fits someone else's Pinterest board. That's better than okay. That's actually pretty damn good." Thank you all for following this journey. Time to focus on the future.